Have you ever wondered why so many people sprint through life, but only a few actually end up far ahead? It almost feels like the world is designed to reward those who move the fastest, who check their phones every few seconds, who jump on every new trend, who can trade in and out of stocks at lightning speed, who constantly chase the next shiny thing. But if you look carefully, if you zoom out and study the people who really build lasting wealth, deep mastery, and enduring impact, you'll notice something surprising. The winners are often not the ones who rush. The winners are the ones who wait. This is the heart of time arbitrage. Arbitrage in finance usually means taking advantage of a difference in price across markets. You buy low in one place, sell high in another, and pocket the difference. But time arbitrage is different. It's about taking advantage of a difference in time horizons. When the majority of people are trapped in the short term, thinking about the next quarter's earnings, the next week's news cycle, the next hour's dopamine hit, you gain an edge simply by extending your timeline further than theirs. If everyone else is focused on the next 3 months and you're focused on the next 10 years, you are already playing a completely different game. Now here's the paradox. Patience feels slow in the moment. It feels like waiting, like missing out, like watching the world move while you stand still. But in reality, patience is one of the fastest accelerators of wealth, wisdom, and growth. Because while everyone else burns energy chasing what's urgent, you are steadily compounding on what's important. You are quietly building advantages that cannot be copied overnight. You are letting time do the heavy lifting. Think about investing. The average investor wants quick returns. They panic when the market dips for 3 months or even 3 days. They jump in and out of positions, often buying high and selling low. But the investor who practices time arbitrage doesn't care about daily noise. They hold companies for decades, letting compounding turn small seeds into towering forests. Warren Buffett once said that the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. That is time arbitrage in action. But this isn't only about money. Time arbitrage works in careers too. Most people chase titles, promotions, or recognition in the short term. They want visible results fast. But the person who quietly spends years honing their craft, building deep expertise, and nurturing relationships gains a reputation that compounds in ways a quick promotion never could. When everyone else is switching jobs for a small raise, you are building a foundation that allows you to leap far ahead later. And let's not forget personal growth. In fitness, the short-term thinker looks for quick fixes, crash diets, or hacks. They want to see results in 2 weeks. But the long-term thinker, the one who embraces sustainable habits, who trains consistently, who eats well not just for appearance but for health, creates a body and a mind that stay strong for decades. The patient person doesn't just look good in summer. They stay vibrant for life. That's the power of patience. It is invisible. It is quiet. It is often mocked. But when applied consistently, it becomes unstoppable. And this is what I want to explore with you today. Welcome to the long game. I'm Nathan, and in this episode, we'll unpack the deep power of time arbitrage. We'll talk about why patience is not passive but strategic, how you can practice long-term thinking in a short-term world, and why extending your horizon even slightly further than the crowd can completely transform your trajectory. So settle in. This isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. And by the end of it, you might just realize that slowing down is the fastest way to get where you want to go.
Let's go deeper into the mechanics of time arbitrage, because it's one thing to say be patient, but it's another to really understand how patience creates an edge that others cannot replicate. To see this clearly, we need to step into the mindset of the average person today. Most of us are wired for immediacy. Our phones buzz, and we react instantly. A notification pops up, and it pulls us away. We check our portfolios daily, even hourly, expecting the value to rise like a video game score. The entire system, media, advertising, even social media platforms, is designed to shrink our horizon into the smallest possible unit of time. Attention spans are not just decreasing, they're being actively attacked. And here lies your chance to arbitrage. When everyone else is zoomed in to the 1-minute chart, if you step back to the 10-year view, you suddenly see patterns they cannot. This is why so few investors can stomach holding through downturns, and yet those downturns are exactly where wealth quietly changes hands. Think back to 2008. The financial crisis made everyone panic. People dumped assets at fire sale prices because they couldn't bear the pain of the next quarter. But those who had the courage to extend their horizon, who asked not what will happen in 6 months, but what will this look like in 10 years, came out vastly richer. The pain of patience in the short term became the profit of vision in the long term. And this principle repeats itself in business. Executives, pressured by shareholders, often manage quarter to quarter, cut costs to meet earnings targets, push marketing to spike numbers now. But some leaders resist this trap. They plant seeds instead of chasing fruit. Think of Jeff Bezos in the early days of Amazon. For years, critics laughed at the company, calling it a money-losing online bookstore. But Bezos was practicing time arbitrage. He wasn't focused on quarterly profits. He was focused on building a flywheel that could dominate global commerce decades later. By the time others realized what was happening, Amazon was untouchable. This is the beauty of time arbitrage. It creates asymmetry. Most of the world is fighting over short-term scraps, but if you shift your time horizon, you move into a space with very little competition. It's not crowded on the 20-year horizon. It's quiet there. And in that quiet, you can build without distraction. You can nurture projects, relationships, and habits that compound invisibly until they become impossible to ignore. Let's take this to a more personal level. Imagine you're learning a new skill, say coding, design, or even public speaking. Most people dabble for a few weeks, maybe a few months, then quit if they don't see results. They compare themselves to experts and feel discouraged. But if you adopt time arbitrage, you approach it differently. You think, what if I give myself 10 years? 10 years of steady, deliberate practice. 10 years of building, learning, making mistakes, and improving a little each day. By the end of that horizon, you're not just good, you're world-class. And the truth is, you don't need natural talent to get there. You only need patience in a world addicted to speed. The same applies to relationships. Networking events promise quick connections, but real trust takes years. Anyone can exchange business cards, but very few are willing to invest time in nurturing long-term bonds. If you're the one who keeps showing up, who listens, who helps without immediate return, you're playing a different game. Eventually, when opportunities surface, those deep roots will support you in ways shallow connections never could. Now let's talk about the emotional challenge of practicing time arbitrage. Because patience is not easy. The hardest part is that patience often feels invisible. When you go to the gym once, nothing changes. When you invest for a year, sometimes your portfolio looks worse. When you practice a skill, progress feels slow. It's in these moments that the short-term thinkers quit, and that's precisely when the long-term thinkers quietly win. This is why so many people confuse patience with weakness. They think waiting means doing nothing, but waiting with intention, waiting with discipline, waiting with a strategy, that is one of the hardest and strongest things you can do. It's like planting a tree. You water it day after day. For months, maybe even years, it looks small, unimpressive. But underground, roots are spreading, foundations are forming. One day, seemingly out of nowhere, the tree shoots up. But of course it wasn't sudden. It was compounding all along, hidden from view. That's what time arbitrage feels like. And here's something fascinating. Once you internalize this mindset, life becomes calmer. You stop panicking over daily noise. You stop comparing yourself to others' highlight reels, because you know you're running a different race. Your pace, your horizon, your compounding. It's not about today's scoreboard, it's about where the game ends decades from now. So, in practical terms, how do you use time arbitrage? First, choose to lengthen your horizon in at least one area of your life. It could be investing, where you decide to hold great businesses through cycles. It could be learning, where you commit to a skill for a decade instead of a season. It could be health, where you eat for longevity instead of vanity. And second, protect yourself from the constant noise that tries to shorten your horizon. Limit how often you check the scoreboard. Don't get sucked into daily drama. Anchor yourself in the vision of where you want to be, not just next year, but 10 or 20 years from now. This is the essence of time arbitrage. Gaining an advantage simply by being willing to wait while others quit. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's rare. And rare edges are the ones worth pursuing.
Now that we've explored what time arbitrage is and why it works, let's bring it even closer to home. How can you actually live this way? Because it's not just an abstract philosophy. It's a practice, a discipline, a choice you can make every single day in the way you think, work, and live. And if you truly embrace it, patience becomes not just a virtue, but your secret weapon. First, let's revisit the battlefield of attention. Imagine life as a marketplace. Everyone is bidding for what they want: money, status, recognition, growth. But most bidders only bring small coins of time, like minutes or hours. They need immediate return. They need quick feedback. They can't wait. So they overpay for scraps. But if you're willing to place your bid in decades, suddenly you're bidding in a currency few others can use. You can afford to play in a space they can't even see. This alone creates an edge. Think about how this plays out in investing. When the market drops, most people panic. They sell, they retreat, they abandon their positions. It feels safer. It feels urgent. But the patient investor knows the difference between price and value. They understand that the true payoff lies years ahead. So while the impatient cut their losses, the patient quietly accumulates assets at bargain prices. The world may call them foolish in the moment, but a decade later, those same people are called genius. Nothing magical happened, only time arbitrage. And it's not only money. It's knowledge, it's skill, it's mastery. Most people treat learning like a sprint. They want a certificate in 6 weeks, a quick win, a shortcut. But if you decide to go deep, to commit years to one discipline, you enter territory others can't touch. 5 years of compounding knowledge already makes you unusual. 10 years? makes you an authority. 20 years? You become a master whose voice carries weight not because of marketing, but because of undeniable depth. And here's the irony. What seems like slow learning at the start becomes unstoppable acceleration later. Each layer of knowledge reinforces the next. Each year builds on the previous ones until your growth feels exponential to outsiders. Let's shift to careers. Most professionals treat jobs as stepping stones. 2 years here, 3 years there, always chasing the next shiny opportunity. But imagine instead that you practice time arbitrage in your career. You choose to master one area deeply, to become irreplaceable, to cultivate relationships steadily, to build a reputation that compounds. At first, it may seem like you're behind your peers who hop jobs and post quick wins on LinkedIn. But over time, those same peers plateau. Meanwhile, your long horizon turns you into the trusted expert, the leader, the one others seek for guidance. That is how patience translates into power. Now let's go even deeper into life itself. Health is the most profound example of time arbitrage. Most people ignore it until it fails. They eat for pleasure today. They skip exercise because it's inconvenient now. But the patient person, the one who eats for longevity, who trains consistently, who chooses rest over constant grind, is quietly making deposits into a future account. And here's the kicker. By the time the impatient person is paying the price in medical bills and fatigue, the patient person is enjoying compounding energy, strength, and vitality. The return on patience and health is not just wealth, it's life itself. But we must be honest here. Patience isn't easy. It's lonely. It feels boring. It feels invisible. Because time arbitrage means going against the grain, it means resisting the urge to show results immediately. It means enduring criticism, doubt, even ridicule. People may call you slow, lazy, or out of touch. But that's the price of playing a different game. You are not racing them. You are running your marathon. And the finish line is far beyond their horizon. There's also a psychological shift required. To practice time arbitrage, you must learn to detach from noise. You must stop treating every fluctuation, every setback, every dip as a verdict. Instead, you see it as part of the process. You don't panic when the seed hasn't sprouted yet, because you know roots take time to grow underground. You don't obsess over today's scoreboard, because you know the true score will only be visible years later. You anchor yourself in vision, not in immediate feedback. And this makes you resilient. Resilience, in fact, is the hidden dividend of patience. When you stretch your horizon, you stop being fragile. Daily drama doesn't break you. Quarterly disappointments don't derail you. Because you're not playing the quarter. You are playing the decade. And when you think in decades, almost everything becomes survivable. Let's end with a reflection. What would change in your life if you stretched your horizon? If instead of asking, where can I be in 1 year, you asked, where could I be in 20? How would that reshape your choices? Would you stop chasing quick wins? Would you start planting seeds that won't bloom for years, but when they do, will feed you for a lifetime? Would you stop comparing yourself to those who sprint, knowing that most will burn out long before you cross your finish line? This is the essence of time arbitrage. It's not about being smarter, faster, or luckier. It's about daring to be slower. It's about daring to be patient in a culture of urgency. It's about building when no one notices and harvesting when no one can compete. So here's the invitation. Choose one area of your life: money, career, health, learning, relationships, and extend your horizon. Stretch it beyond the crowd. Resist the urge to quit early, and then trust time to do its work. Because in the long game, patience isn't passive. Patience is power. This is Nathan, and you've been listening to The Long Game. Thank you for staying with me through this journey of time arbitrage. Remember, the world races, but you don't have to. You can win by waiting. And in the end, those who dare to play long are the ones who win big.